Be excited for Benjamin Sesko. That is my message to you. That is the feeling I hope you leave this video with, having watched it, if you are not currently someone who has much faith in Benjamin Sesko. Now, it is not guaranteed that Arsenal sign him. I feel like that is the path that we are onto, and I'm very excited by it. And that is not to say that I didn't want Victor Gyökeres. If you watch this channel, you'll know I've been captaining the Victor Gyökeres steam train. However, for the people that are really adamant that Gyökeres had to be the guy and that Sesko won't work, I think you're wrong. And I'm going to attempt to prove that to you today, or at least give you an idea of what we could expect from Benjamin Sesko. So, first of all, we're going to start with why I think Benjamin Sesko is going to come to Arsenal and why I think he's definitely ahead now of Victor Gyökeres in the running. Before I do that, though, if I could just ask you to subscribe down below. It's free. We're on the way to 19,000 subscribers. And if you could click the like button, I would be incredibly grateful. The support on the channel recently has been mind-blowing. But Fabrizio Romano said this yesterday, as you'll be aware if you were on the stream. Understand Arsenal are now advancing in negotiations for Benjamin Sesko after initial concrete talks reported last week. Discussions underway and proceeding well between all parties involved, player and clubs. No agreement yet, now or expected this weekend, but it is advancing. And we've heard various other journalists all following suit. Some are going a bit further in terms of how far along they think it is. But this is a good start. And then conversely, I suppose, on the other side, Victor Gyökeres suddenly seems to be in the running for Manchester United. So Fabrizio on DAZN, prior to the Europa League final, Victor Gyökeres was seen as was keen on moving to Manchester United. Champions League football is important to him, but he is still open to assessing all of his options. It's not Champions League or nothing. Therefore, United still have a chance of getting him, but outgoings are important. And this has been the thing. The more it has appeared that Arsenal are going for Sesko, the more we've started hearing things about, well, Victor Gyökeres could be open to a move to Manchester United. So I think the Gyökeres camp certainly feel that they're second in the running to Benjamin Sesko and are beginning to explore alternative options, because Arsenal was the first choice for Gyökeres originally. Now, I want to move on to a couple of things. One thing I hear a lot, Benjamin Sesko's just another Kai Havertz. Okay. In this sense, and I apologize, the numbers will almost certainly be too small for you to see them here, but these are two graphs of Benjamin Sesko against other young strikers in the Bundesliga. So on that list, you've got Maximilian Bayer, Hugo Ekitike, Woltemade, Openda, and a few others, Victor Boniface down at the bottom. And what it shows is this. Now, Sesko is the third one down on the bottom of these two graphs. On this one here, no, what am I doing? This one, that was awful. Sesko's the third one down, and you can see the darker the green, the better, the higher they rank. And his, the whole way across, is somewhat green. It is somewhat green, although only the one right at the end, Aerial Duels 1, is the darkest green. But what you can see on the graph above it is a ranking of each of them and how they rank in each of these categories. So going from left to right, the categories are intensive runs, sprints, top speed, distance covered, duels 1, and aerial duels 1. And the way that Benjamin Sesko ranks for these, and he is the top of the list for this, he ranks second for intensive runs, second for sprints, second for top speed, third for distance covered, second for duels 1, and second for aerial duels 1, giving him an overall average ranking of second. The closest to him, Maximilian Bayer, has an average ranking of 3.5. So he is levels above in terms of the overall athletic game. And athletically, he is a freak, much in the way that Kai Havertz is. And probably the most underrated part of Kai Havertz's game that we lost when he was injured, that people didn't quite appreciate, was the running of Kai Havertz, the pressing of Kai Havertz, the ability to go long to Kai Havertz, all of these things that massively help us out. Kai Havertz has them, so does Benjamin Sesko, to a top standard. And so you are bringing in that sense, someone that can replicate what Kai Havertz does. But outside of that, I think they are very, very different. And I think if you think Kai Havertz and Benjamin Sesko are the same player, you've not watched Benjamin Sesko. Not enough, anyway. Because when you go on to something like this, which is the goal scoring, Benjamin Sesko is better than Kai Havertz. In the Bundesliga this season, 13 goals from a total of 10 XG. Now, 13 goals could be better, could be worse. And that's the thing that people keep bringing up. Oh my God, we're signing a guy that scored 13 goals. But actually, the variety of those goals is very good. 3 of them from outside the box, 1 of them from miles outside the box. But that long-range striking, something we don't massively have in the squad, and something that is very useful for breaking teams down. I think 3 or 4 of the goals were also headers. So there is a variety in there. And those 3 goals from outside the box, by the way, they come from the fact that he strikes the ball unbelievably. And that's the single biggest difference between him and Kai Havertz. With Havertz, you often see, slightly scuffed shots, or he doesn't quite connect with it properly. I think the goal he scored against Man City was probably the best goal he scored this season in terms of striking through the ball. Benjamin Sesko's unbelievable. Benjamin Sesko's ball striking is some of the purest in world football, the way he strikes the ball. Now, Victor Gyökeres has that too, but Sesko's is absolutely marvellous. This is Sesko in the Champions League this season. 4 goals from 3.62 XG. So again, across both the Bundesliga and the Champions League this season, overperforming on his expected goals. Bundesliga last season for Benjamin Sesko, 14 goals from 7.6 XG. Nearly doubled the goal tally from his XG in the Bundesliga last season. And then in the Champions League last season was the only one where he slightly underperformed. 2 goals from 2.86 XG in the Bundesliga last season. But again, by the way, the variety of goals he scored in the Bundesliga last season, again, very, very good. When I say last season, by the way, I mean 23-24, not the season just gone. So I believe if you can increase the XG that he gets, you will see a significant increase in the output. Will you see an increase in the XG that Benjamin Sesko gets if he moves from Leipzig to Arsenal? Well, he scored 13 goals, as we said in the league last season. That would put him it would put him joint 12th in the Premier League for goal scorers last season, 1 behind Mateta, Strand Larsen, same number of goals as Luis Diaz and Jarrod Bowen. But I just don't believe that is what he would end on in a full season in the Premier League with Arsenal. And this is why. First of all, Leipzig play with a 2-striker formation. Usually. It is Openda and Sesko, and then they either have a bank of 4 behind them, where Simons is out wide, or they have Simons sort of in the pocket behind them as an attacking midfielder when they're playing a 3/5 at the back. But either way, he doesn't get to be the greedy central striker that I think he would get to do at Arsenal, because we don't play a 2-striker formation. And then you get on to Leipzig versus Arsenal generally. So, big chances created last season, 24-25. For Arsenal, 110. For Leipzig, 80. So you're talking over 25% more big chances created for Arsenal than for Leipzig. Now, if the majority of those are going to Benjamin Sesko, and he's going to overperform on the additional XG that you generate from that, you're going to see an increase in the output of goals. Accurate crosses per 90. Arsenal, 4.8 per 90. Leipzig, 3.4 per 90. Leipzig actually ranked bottom of the Bundesliga for accurate crosses per 90. So again, a massive increase. I mean, that's far more than a 25% increase. That's what? I can't do the maths. 35, 40% increase in accurate crosses per 90 for a guy that's 6'5" and loves winning aerial duels, winning headers. So again, I'd expect that to massively increase his output. And again, touches in the opposition box in 24-25. Arsenal, 1,379. Leipzig, 793. I mean, that's a huge, huge percentage increase from Leipzig to Arsenal. So he's going to spend far more time in the box with the ball at his feet. And again, a big difference between him and Kai Havertz when they are inside the box. Benjamin Sesko will look to shoot and score. Much like Victor Gyökeres. I mean, Victor Gyökeres is that guy. But Benjamin Sesko will look to do the same. And so on all of these measures, for me, I see Benjamin Sesko's numbers going up in the Premier League. not down, not plateauing. I think we can platform him in a far better way than Leipzig do. I mean, Leipzig finished 7th in the Bundesliga this season. So I think we are bringing someone that offers all the athletic ability of Kai Havertz, more so, in fact. I think he's quicker than Kai Havertz. I actually think with the ball at his feet, he's slightly quicker. And aerially, I think he's better. He can still use his body a lot more. But I think you bring everything that Kai Havertz has in that sense. You bring a guy who's happy to link up play. At times, he's even noted as playing as an attacking midfielder in that Leipzig team. And then you give him far more opportunities than he is used to getting. Now, don't get me wrong, he's raw. But this idea that he's not a goal scorer, this idea that he's not clinical in front of goal, there's nothing really that suggests that that is the case. And the problem you get is that far too many people clip things up. They look at highlights. And so you might see clips of Sesko in a one-on-one situation that he misses. I could find you the same clips of Erling Haaland doing the same. That's football. But over the course of a season, the numbers tell you Benjamin Sesko will outperform his XG. Now, he isn't perfect, don't get me wrong. He's 21 years old. But he's played 3 seasons in the Champions League at 21 years old. He has scored plenty of goals. And I think you bring him in. You play him in rotation with Kai Havertz, certainly early on. So there isn't the pressure to hit the ground running, to hit the ground flying. I don't think that pressure is there. And you work on the parts of his game that need improvement. And there are parts of his game that need improvement. Don't get me wrong. There are parts of Viktor Gyökeres's game that need improvement. The difference is those parts of Viktor Gyökeres's game that need improvement, he's not improved at the age of 26, 27. Benjamin Sesko's only 21. But Sesko needs to use his body better. I think that's one of the biggest things. I think when you're 21 years old, you're still getting used to the fact that you're 6'5". And I think that is something that he will improve. Some of his range of passing definitely needs improving. And that is an important factor at Arsenal. We do look to have elite levels of passing, and I think he needs to work on that. But overall, I think if you get the recruitment right around him, we're talking Zubimendi, Rodrigo in an absolute dream world, you are going to create a system for him that is just going to set him up to explode. And again, I've mentioned this before. You know, people bang on about how we should be going for Alexander Isak. Well, the season that Alexander Isak left Real Sociedad for a very similar price to what it looks like we're going to spend on Benjamin Sesko, he scored 6 goals in La Liga the season before he moved to Newcastle United. Had a good first season, not amazing at Newcastle. And then since then, he's been one of the best strikers that you can buy. And so I think we could win the league, the Champions League, with Benjamin Sesko as a striker next season, if the left winger is improved upon. And then going on into seasons after that, you've got a guy where the sky's the limit. So I am excited. I hope you are. I appreciate some people won't be. I appreciate some people just look at the goals that Gyökeres scored and the goals that Sesko scored, and nothing else will matter. And if that's you, you do you. But for me, it's very exciting. I hope it happens. I hope it happens quickly. And I can't wait to see him in an Arsenal shirt. Fingers crossed. But look, if you've enjoyed the video, please do like it. Please do subscribe if you're new. I'm sure there will be a live stream coming up within the next couple of days. More videos as well. And as always, I massively appreciate the support. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will catch you all on the next one. Until then, goodbye.